You may be wondering why I'm sat on my bed in this big fluffy hoodie. Well, it's because I want to talk about that moment, and it comes to all of us. And it's usually at night, and it's when the road noise outside has calmed down and all the other noise of the world's gone and everything's just quieting down, and you're left alone just with your thoughts, staring at the ceiling. And in that stillness, something hits me, and it maybe do you too. And it's not loudly, it's not dramatically, but very deeply inside the soul. It's a realisation of just how bloody quick this life goes. I lay here sometimes and I can see my whole life as a continuous thread. School feels like yesterday. Being a teenager, literally a moment ago. Even being 30, I can still feel it. It feels like I haven't fully passed through that yet. But then I ask myself, how am I here now, aged 45? When did that happen? Because it doesn't feel like decades. It feels like moments. And that's a truth that no one really prepares you for. Life doesn't feel that long when you're living it. It only feels long when you're at the beginning, looking forward. But when you look back, that whole timeline continuum collapses. It compresses, it just becomes a handful of memories, a few defining moments, and then everything else just fades into the background. And that's when it really hits. One day I'll be here or on another bed and I'll be 70 and then I'll be 80. And I already know that when that day comes, this moment right now will feel like that. In a blink, we pass through this life, and then all of a sudden we're there, or are we here? It is that short. And the older you get, the more you realise this. Now that thought could scare me, you, us, and it does scare a lot of people. But I think you can turn it on its head, turn it into something that sharpens you. Because in between all of that, those, key moments, being a boy, being a teenager, being the man that I am today, there have been 1,000 nights just like this one where I've laid my head down or rested and thought about the day. How did it go? Was it good? Was I a good person? But you know what I realised, and maybe you do too, I've lived, I've achieved things, I've developed, I've grown, I've fought battles, some I've lost, some I've won. I've built, I've been broken, I've learned, I've reflected. And there's a quiet satisfaction in that. And this isn't about pride or ego. It's just a calm knowledge that my time hasn't been completely wasted. But here's the part that stays with the most. My best days are ahead of me. I'm not done. I'm not even close to being done. There is still so much more in me, so much more to build, so much more to give, so much more to become. And I feel that as a duty, not just as a desire, but as a duty. Because every time I hear about someone whose life has been cut short, it hits me. It really hits me. The injustice of it, the unfinished potential, the things that they could have created, the love that they could have given, the lives that they could have touched, the impact that they never got to make. All of that in a second gone, returned to wherever it came from. And what's left behind? Pain, grief, a space that can never quite be filled. And every time I think about that, I come to the same conclusion. Whether you get 20 years on this earth, 50 years, or 90 years, it is still so short, so painfully short. So the question isn't, how long have I got? The question is, what am I going to do with what I've been given? Because I know this about myself. I could not bear it if I reached the end of my life and I realised that I'd spent too much time in the wrong relationships, focused on the wrong things, distracted by the things that never truly mattered, letting my life, this fragile, short life, slip through my hands. I couldn't live with that. So I have to remind myself and ask myself, time and time again, how can I serve? What can I offer? What in my life is pulling me away from that path? And what is it that's pushing me back onto it again? Because that's what ultimately gives life weight. That's what gives it meaning. Not comfort, not distraction, not endless entertainment, but purpose, contribution, alignment with something greater than yourself. And one day, we will all face the moment, ultimately, whether you believe in God or something else or nothing at all, you will face a moment where you have to face yourself. And you will know whether you truly lived, whether you truly served, or whether you held back, whether you gave everything that you had, or whether you let it sit inside you unused. And I personally want to be able to make that moment and stand there honestly, no matter what happens, and say, I gave it everything. Didn't get it all right. I made a lot of mistakes, but I did not waste this life. I used it. I served with it. I became who I was meant to be. I fulfilled my potential. And because life is so fragile, not just that it can end at any moment, but because it passes through our hands so quickly that if you're not paying attention, it's gone before you even realise it was here. So don't wait. Don't drift. Don't tell yourself, one day I'll stand up for that thing that I believe in. One day I will start. One day turns into years, and years turns into a life. So I'd say to you and to myself, start now, live now, choose now. Because tonight, when you lay your head down, you'll feel it. That quiet voice, that truth, that awareness of time moving beneath you. And the question will, always be there, whether you face it or not. Did today matter? Well, let's make every day matter. Every single day that you can, make it matter, because that's all it is in the end. That's all life really is. Just a collection of thousands of days that either meant something or didn't. And you know whose choice that is? Yours.